Let us start our class with a prayer.
Garveyism in Jamaica of today, they can call him a national hero, but you go to the library, you don't find any books on Garvey. You don't find nothing in primary schools on Garvey. And the material in the Jamaican Institute on Garvey is deteriorating, and they haven't laminated the paper so they can save it. There's no Garveyism in the Caribbean islands, and very little here right now. Why he was heard here is not because anybody got any better brain than anybody else, but because our crude slave master and our crude oppressor made us know one thing: we were not a part of the state and not wanted to be a part. We were brought here to labor, and once that was over, you're a surplus population. For in Jamaica, they had the illusion of being a part of the British Empire. You cannot sell a state to a people who think they've already got a state. It was a matter of a frame of mind. Many people took pride in being a part of that empire. And while many of us would have taken more pride in being part of the United States, but the United States let us know by putting up signs letting us know what we had not wanted. Even signs, black drinking water and white drinking water. And you figure that one out. They reminded us every day of our status in such a way they were killed in a concept of being such a true blue patriot, and yet we held out hope and fought in all of its wars. When someone asked me years ago whether I loved this country, I said immediately, and I didn't think it out too well, I hate what it is, I love what it promises to be. That was before I understood that the promise wasn't even made to me or my people. They weren't even talking about me when they announced the promise. But what I should have said is that you brought me here against my will, and I'll stay here against my will. And so far as I'm concerned, with the life that I have in me, I'm going to transform this nation to something better. Failing to do that, I have no compunction about trying to destroy it. The role of the writer, the teacher, the leader is to make a new society. And where he cannot make a new society, he has the bounding responsibility to wage endless war on the society that harass him. Faith has assigned this task to the thinker, the teacher, the preacher, the political activist. And to him, war is a natural way of life. War against depression, war against hunger, war against any form of deprivation of the human being. It's a way of life. It's a normal way of life. Fighting to improve the condition of people, fighting to give strength to people without it, fighting to give homes to people without a home. Because I remember Dr. Ben saying last night in a lecture we gave together, he was quoting someone else, but it was an excellent quote. Show me how you treat your women, and I will show you the condition of your nation. And I say that The measurement of a nation, the measurement of a people's humanity, is how well they treat the very old, the very young, and the life giver of all people, the women. I don't mean she must necessarily be pampered all the time, but she must be protected and respected all the time.
You see, I had asthma, and I had diabetes. I was impotent. I was obese. I was angry. Very, very angry. They put me up in the ship in Russia. The doctor didn't heal me. And one day, a brother from New Orleans, Ronald Evans, called me here in Los Angeles and said, "Hey, I met a Mexican that healed everything." And I went to Mexico and I met the man. The man looked at me and asked, "Where are you from?" I said, "I'm from Honduras." He said, "Man, I can't help you." I said, "Why?" "Because black people doesn't come from Honduras. That's Maya, that's Paya, that's Lenca. Where you from?" I said, "Oh, I'm from Africa." He said, "Now we could talk."
Running African, reuniting the African family for development. Essence of power is the ability to define someone's reality and have them live according to that definition as though it is a definition of their own choosing.
Speak truth to the people. To identify the enemy is to free the mind. Free the mind of the people. Speak to the mind of the people. Speak truth. Hide nothing from the masses of the people. Tell no lies. Expose lies whenever they are told. Mask no difficulties, mistakes, failures. Claim no easy victory.
We're just 1 week, exactly 1 week away from our tribute to Mwalimu Marcus Messiah Garvey, right here in the courtyard of IRFM. And this morning we look ahead. We're looking ahead this morning to that tribute. And we did find a Swahili word for what we're undertaking this year in our tribute to Mwalimu Marcus Messiah Garvey, Mkutano. It's a Swahili word that best describes what we're undertaking here on the 21st of August, Mkutano. The simplest translation is a conference, but because it comes with so much more than that. We have and are in the process of changing the Coconut Grove Great House into what in Swahili is called a ukumbi wa mkutano. That's what's happening here. And when you see that, you'll recognize it for yourself. Ukumbi wa mkutano. Literally a conference hall, but it's more than that because we do it in the African way. Hey, we're congratulating someone else too. We're congratulating Fidel Castro. No, he's not in Rio. He celebrated his 90th birthday yesterday, the 13th. So congratulations to Fidel Castro, celebrating 90 years. He's outlived them all, hasn't he? And history did absolve him, didn't it? As we continue to seek truth and learn from the past. Talking about the spirit of human possibility.
We are saying that those organizations which are politically on the front lines fighting for our people should come together and form a united front. This united front is a very simple thing now, a very simple task. All it means is that we come together and have common meetings. And if we hear one attacking the other newspaper, we don't respond to the newspaper, we telephone each other and ask them. And if we hear one attacking the other newspaper, we don't respond to the newspaper, we telephone each other and ask them. And if we hear one attacking the other newspaper, we don't respond to the newspaper, we telephone each other and ask them. And if we hear
Marcus, Messiah Garvey, Marcus, Messiah Garvey, Marcus, Messiah Garvey, man of nobility, man of nobility. He said, up, up, imagine race, one God, one aim, one destiny. Africa for Africans, at home and abroad. We must all unite, sing Marcus, Messiah Garvey, Marcus, Messiah Garvey, Marcus, Messiah Garvey, man of nobility, man of nobility. He said, up, up, in mighty race, one God, one aim, one destiny. Africa for Africans, though he is gone, we must carry on.
Great is he who values his greatness. If you have no confidence in yourself, you're twice defeated in the race of life. But with confidence you have won even before you have started.
A people without the knowledge of their past, history, origin and culture is like a tree without roots. Only students of history can recall the day when Egypt, Ethiopia and Timbuktu towered in their civilization.
Yes, Africa was peopled with a race of cultured blacks who were masters in art, science and literature. People who were cultured and refined. People who, it was said, were like the gods.
And even the great poets of old sang in beautiful sonnets of the delight it afforded the gods to be in companionship with the Ethiopians. Why then should we lose hope?
Lose not courage.
Lose not faith.
Go forward.
We cannot wait on any to free us. We must liberate ourselves, eat what we grow. If we allow others to feed us, then one day we shall be without.
Hold fast to faith, desert not the ranks, but as brave soldiers march on to victory. Remember Marcus Garvey. Give praise for Marcus Garvey. Remember what he said, that Africa be our guiding star. Star of destiny. Star of destiny. Can you see Marcus talking about Messiah Garvey? Marcus, Messiah Garvey. Marcus, Messiah Garvey.
It's Sunday, August 14. Mwalimu Marcus Messiah Garvey's birthday is actually August 17. We celebrate and pay tribute on August 21 this year here at IRI FM, in the courtyard at IRI FM, in the Coconut Grove Great House. Hey, happening now We understand that the Nigerian Islamist group Boko Haram has released a video purporting to show some of the kidnapped Chibok schoolgirls. The BBC is reporting that some 50 girls wearing headscarves are seen behind a Boko Haram militant who demands the release of fighters in return for freeing the girls. The group seized, as you recall, 276 girls from their school in the northern town of Chibok. 219 are believed to be still held. This is a third video said to show the girls since they were captured. The footage shows the militant, a gun slung over his shoulder, carrying out a stage interview with one of the girls who calls herself Maida Yakuba and says she is from Chibok.
Great is he who values his greatness. If you have no confidence in yourself, you're twice defeated in the race of life. But with confidence you have won even before you have started.
A people without the knowledge of their past, history, origin and culture is like a tree without roots. Only students of history can recall the day when Egypt, Ethiopia and Timbuktu towered in their civilization.
Yes! Africa was peopled with a race of cultured blacks who were masters in art, science and literature. People who were cultured and refined. People who, it was said, were like the gods.
And even the great poets of old sang in beautiful sonnets of the delight it afforded the gods to be in companionship with the Ethiopians. Why then should we lose hope?
Lose not courage.
And talking about the Ethiopians, Ethiopia's Almaz Ayana smashed the world record by over 14 seconds to win Olympic gold in the women's 10,000 meters in Rio. The 24-year-old racing the distance on the track for only the second time. Sorry about that. She obliterated the field to finish in 29 minutes, 17.45 seconds. For those of you who saw that, that was a beautiful race. Kenya's Vivian Chariot, the 2012 bronze medalist, finished second in 29:32.53. And defending champion, Dibaba of Ethiopia, Chonish Dibaba, she managed third, but it was her personal best of 29:42.56, one of 18 personal bests in that race.
What you do today that is worthwhile inspires others to act at some future time. Therefore, in all you do, be at all times prepared to say, I do.
The ends you serve that are selfish will take you no further than yourself. But the ends you serve that have all in common will take you even into eternity.
Ding, 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 down. Whoa, the Black Star Liner. One day, we must be headed.
And even as we focus on the Black Star Line on Mwalimu Marcus Messiah Garvey,
there shall be many for a few. Yes.
we still underscore without apology that black lives do matter. It is more than a hashtag. We're looking at the carnage on our roads here in Jamaica. The carnage on our roads continue unabated. Why is the message not getting through? In many cases, it is speeding. We have a situation in our country. It appears as if we have multiple problems, but they're stemming from the one source. And until we're able to get to the source of the murder, the scamming, the gun murder, the carnage on our roads, the domestic crimes, the murder-suicides, the rapes, the disrespect. It's all stemming from one source. It seems these are the symptoms of what we are becoming as a people. And until we are able to face that at every single level of our society, church, state, institutions, political institutions, social institutions, civil society, educational institutions, until we're able to look at this as a whole and understand that each problem that we face, a problem of crime and violence, including rapes and murders and gun violence and scamming, that until we are able to recognize that these are multifaceted problems arising from complex circumstances, yes, but from what we are becoming as a people, the lack of values, our attitudes. What do we value? What are we becoming? Who are we? Where is the center? What is our ideology? Do we even have that? How are we leading? And we must throw in all of this a private sector that has turned a divergent gaze. We must throw in all of this a church, religious institutions that have turned a divergent gaze. And I say this without apology, because calling for a day of prayer is not the way to deal with our problems. Amassing in halfway tree and closing your eyes and praying is not going to solve our problems, because you are a part of the problem. And God is not mockery. It's a good thing God don't steal like man. I'm serious though. So how are we going to deal with our problems? How are we going to deal with these issues? Even as we talk about Black Lives Matter, and we say it, and it's a hashtag for many people. And even here in Jamaica, when a lot of people talk about Black Lives Matter, they're not even thinking about Jamaica. They're thinking about the United States, because it originated from the United States. But Black Lives Matter here in Jamaica also. We're looking at the senseless acts of reckless driving. The cases of hit and run have left families mourning, grieving, traumatized. Children left fatherless and others hospitalized. And we're hearing now the St. Anne's Bay Hospital just put out a release that they are full, that the 200 and odd bed hospital is now full. And they're appealing to persons to take it easy on the road. The beds are filled with victims of motor vehicle accidents and criminal activities. How did we get to this place? And how do we begin to address this issue? So that these are the domino effects of what we are becoming as a people. I understand that there are persons admitted to the St. Anne's Bay Hospital and to other hospitals in Jamaica who are sitting up in chairs for days. 4 days. No beds. This is not a joke. This is a very serious issue. What is the state of mind of our drivers? What has resulted in this lack of mindfulness? We're looking at the death toll for motor vehicle accidents this year. Already, almost 250. Black Lives Matter. There is anger in Jamaica in every single aspect of a Jamaican society. You know, when you see a politician on the stage talking, have you seen the only politician that I've seen talking in the media or heard talking in the media who is not cussing and shouting and angry and just full of anger and sounding like somebody who want a enema is Carl Blythe. He's the only one who speaks measured and without anger. And I'm wondering, why can't they all sound like that? It doesn't matter what they're talking about. And I'm going to begin to call their names. These are angry people. Our politicians are too angry, and they're passing this on. And it's a shame and it's a disgrace that as leaders, all we can get from you is anger. Shahini Robinson is another politician who speaks without anger. But outside of that, everybody's angry. Everybody's angry. Mad. Constipated. Turning my attention quickly happening now to the United States. Reports in the media this morning that violence has broken out on the streets of the U.S. city of Milwaukee after an armed man, 23, was shot dead in a police chase. And on Saturday, the man fled from a car after being stopped by police in traffic. And the police said that he died from his injuries. At the scene, about 100 people gathered to protest his killing. We understand that some buildings, including a petrol station and cars, were set on fire. The reports are the police have not yet given the man's ethnic origin or that of the police officer, but did say that he was armed with a stolen handgun and had an arrest record. We do know that previous police killings of black men have sparked nationwide protest movements in the U.S., so we're watching this.
Africa for Africa, at home and abroad. We must all unite, sing Marcus, Messiah Garvey.
We're also seeing in the reports this morning happening now, an imam and his assistant were shot dead as they walked along a street in the New York borough of Queens. The men were approached from behind by a man who shot them both in the head. Imam Maulama Akonji, 55, moved to the city from Bangladesh 2 years ago. And police said that there were as yet no indications the men were targeted because of their faith. A man holding a gun was seen leaving the scene of a shooting in the Ozone Park area, but no one has been arrested.
Further than yourself, but the ends you serve that have all in common will take you even into eternity.
Ding 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 down. Whoa, the Black Star Liner. One day, we must be heading homeward bound. Ding ding down. So fret not if there are few, my brethren, there shall be many. For a few, yes, there shall be many.
Until all Africans are free, none is free. Until all are fed, all are hungry. Let us, in shaping our own destiny, set before us the qualities of human justice, love, charity, mercy, and equity.
We have loved under the severest punishment. We are not a race of haters, but lovers of humanity's cause.
Remember Marcus Garvey, hope will see our hopes. This dream is the reality, that Africa be our guiding star. Star of destiny. Oh yes. Star of destiny. Talking about Messiah Garvey. Talking about Messiah Garvey. Marcus Messiah. Man of nobility, man of nobility.
And we are now, as our dear departed sister, our elder now ancestor, Eileen Thomas Jefford, reminded us back in 1992 that we are the living Black Star Liner. We are who we're waiting for. We are who Mwalimu Marcus Mosiah Garvey talked about. So the Black Star Liner now becoming the people themselves. And when we made that trot in 1992 to Ghana, reuniting the African family for development, that was a theme. And when Africans met on the shores of Ghana, on the coast of Africa, for 4 weeks, for an entire month, and then some. We came from North Africa and South Africa. We came from East Africa and Central Africa. We come from West Africa and then some, the Horn of Africa. And we came from Africa and the diaspora. We came from the Caribbean and North America. We came from Latin America and South America. And we came as a Black Star Liner, reminding ourselves that we are who we're waiting for. We are the Black Star Liner in this time. Coming in to the courtyard of Irie FM as we pay tribute to the father of Pan-Africanism, Daddy Marcus, Mwalimu Marcus Mosiah Garvey, August 21, here in the courtyard of Irie FM. Nkutano. Coming in from Kingston, our visual artist Andy Ballantyne. One of the first artists, Jamaican artist, to have his painting in the United Nations head office in New York. He's had over 100 group exhibitions, over 11 solo exhibitions. His artwork can be found all over the world. He'll be displaying his artwork here at Irie FM's tribute to Mwalimu Marcus Mosiah Garvey. As we go to the phone lines to speak to Andy, visual artist. Andy, my brother, greetings.
Greetings, Kabu. Morning.
Morning, and welcome to the space and the Pan-African place. I'm really... Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you very much, and greetings to the member of Irie FM and the staff and all the listeners around the world.
We're very happy to have you on today, Andy. You are an artist in Jamaica, a celebrated artist, and somebody who has done so much work. Tell me a little bit about your kind of artwork, and also we've been talking all morning that your painting is now in the United Nations head office in New York. Tell me about yourself as an artist, and then how did your painting end up in the UN?
Well, how the painting started out to end up in the US is that I got a call one day from the ambassador of Iceland. Said that, Andy, I need a painting, but instead of bring some painting come or bring a painting come, but at the time now the energy, because I paint like every day. While talking to him on the phone, and him say, make sure you come. I'm say, yeah, man. So as I come off the phone now, I say, you know what? Never do a next painting. But as I put the easel now, I put out the easel and put the canvas on the easel. I didn't know what to paint. So I start painting until something come out. When I look, I see a breadfruit. I see a ackee come out. And I just start painting. I see some tomato, some pepper, some onion. And I say, okay, I'm start work with it. Mm-hmm. So when I reach the next day now, that is the first painting come out. And I come out of the car with. Mm-hmm. And he said, don't go no further. See what more want. I'm saying, we have some more. And he said, no, see what more want. So then he buy the painting from me. And then a couple weeks from that, the ambassador for New York, I think, was coming here and then present the painting to him. Mm-hmm. And that is how the painting end up in the UN. But that is not the excited part. Is mm-hmm. that when him go to the UN, him say the ambassador greet him and say, listen, I want to show you the only thing I own in this building. And him said the ambassador bring him around and start to show him some stuff when get as gift, but I'm going to show him what him only own. And him say, when him bring him into a room and him look up, him say, look, that is the only thing I own in here. And him say, when him look, it's an Andy Ballantine painting. And him say, what? Him say, what? A drop out time icon. He couldn't believe it. So that is all the painting reaching the United Nations in Africa.
Right. And Andy, tell me, how did you start as an artist, and how long have you been painting?
Well, I've been painting all my life, you know. I've been painting from I was 10. But on the professional level, I started painting in 2000. And how I get to start in the art business now, it's kind of strange, and I always tell people, say, miracle do happen, but I used to do sign art, but I didn't want to stay as a sign art artist all my life. I wanted to do fine art. I want to do fine art. I want to do work for the banks, the hotel, you name it, because I know I have it in me. So I go to my bed one night and I get a dream, say I must look into a directory. I will see a number, and that number I must call it, and that number will, the person on the other end will help me. So I go to my bed, and when I get up the morning, I ask somebody for a directory, because I didn't have one. And the person say, yeah, I have a directory, but it's 1997. So, well, give me the same way. So then give me the directory. I'm looking at the directory, and this is real. I see the number, and I see the name, and I call, and didn't get you. It was a Monday, I call about the Tuesday, and then I get you. And the person come on the line and say, I don't have anything to give away. And I say, no, I'm not looking anything. I don't want no food, no clothes, no shoes. I just have some work. I'm an artist from Spanish Town. I just want you to look at them. And the person say, okay, meet me next week Wednesday at the Pegasus. Overnight at 10 o'clock, but I reach 11, just in time to see the person going away, and the person say, okay, I come. But when the person see the work in my hand, she said, come on, you're an artist. And I said, yeah, but, you know, I still need a little diet. And when she said, no, your work is great, and she look at the work, when she look at the work now, she said, okay, I will help you. And that person is Julian McMillan, because she is one of Jamaica's great female artists. And then me and her paint up to, I was among her for around 4.5 years. Then we just part our ways. And, you know, I do my thing after that. Because I think I know it. I don't know it to an extent that I'm going to say I know it, that I don't want any more training or anything. But she teach me a lot. She teach me a lot about the business. She teach me how to conduct the business. So I know it to a point. But I'm still painting, and I'm still doing
and I must say, you know, for my own, that I really love your artwork. Really, really love it. You probably know by now that I really like Girl in a Bandana, and I really like I don't know if this is called Girl with the Guitar, but they probably should call Girl with the Guitar. So I really like those two paintings.
Well, I actually. The lady with the guitar, to tell her the truth, Cabo, I don't give that painting a name. It's actually, alright, painting is like this. You just have the canvas, and you just look at the canvas and you see something on the canvas, and you just start following it until something just come out. So some of the time you didn't even get a chance to name it. But I can tell you now, right now, as I speaking to you, I have a Marcus Garvey that I'm working on.
Yes.
And that Marcus Garvey is going to be one of the realest Marcus Garvey painting anyone have ever seen in their life.
And you have told me, Andy, that there's a reason why you're saying this. When you say it's going to be one of the realest, there is a reason why you're saying this. Tell us why.
All right. The reason why I say it, I do a survey, and when I look, I people do not. As a first national hero, most artists don't put a lot of work. What I see, don't put a lot of work to express the true, real Marcus Garvey. Them just do a little thing and, you know, it's Marcus Garvey, some red, gold and green or whatever. I'm doing a portrait of Marcus. All right, this portrait that I'm doing of Marcus Garvey is like in passport, it's picturing in passport. It's so real, you can see even the pores in his face.
And you told me that you're putting on the strands up here one by one.
Yeah, I'm putting on. All right, what I do first, I put on. Yes. If this kind of sound away, but people who know art will know. I put on in skin first and in head, and then we start to apply the ear one by one.
Yes.
So
well, and it's a labor of love, obviously, and this painting will be displayed here at IRFM next week Sunday. Even though we know you're still working on it, that will be displayed here at IRFM, among others that will be displayed. And even though you're displaying, will artwork be available for persons who want to buy?
Yeah, artwork is going to be available and sale for person who want to buy my artwork, and I'm there to take commission as well for people who want me to do a portrait for them and a family portrait, you name it, because as I said before, I am a trained artist. I'm not just a born talented artist. I actually attend Edna Manley. I'm a certificate in life drawing.
Yes.
So I can draw a person. I can sketch you for 5 minutes and bring it to life in 20 minutes.
Okay. Well,
so I am a trained artist, so I even plan to come down and do stuff like that also while you're here.
Well, brilliant. There's a lot that's going to be done. We look forward to having you here on the 21st. Persons can find you on your website in the meantime. Give us the website.
Yeah, person can visit my website, Andy Valentine. This one, just Google Andy Valentine, and you will get a lot. And Kabu, I want to say this before I go.
Yes.
I also have an exhibition going on right now at the Spanish Town High School Art Department. It's called Off the Wall, alongside with the Spanish Town Guild of Visual Artists, because we form a guild in Spanish Town because we acknowledge that a lot of talented person in Spanish Town, but they don't know where to go. So we form a guild where artists can come be a part of our guild, not just visual artists, but performing artists also. And as ambassador for that beautiful institution, the first official ambassador,
the Spanish Town High School, yes,
for Spanish Town High School, I want to let people know that just come over there, come and look what Andy Valentine and the Spanish Town Guild of Artists are.
All right, Andy, we have to wrap it now, but thank you so much. Once again, visit his website and he'll be here on the 21st. Thank you, my brother.
Yeah, man, welcome. Thank you very much, Kabu, and thanks to IRFM again, and thank you very much. And I will be there the 21st. All
right, give thanks. Andy Valentine there, visual artist. He says he's working to become the greatest artist of all time. You heard him talk about his painting, how it got it to the United Nations. His artwork can be found all over the world, and they will be on display here at IRFM. Check him out now on his webpage, Andy Valentine. You'll be pleasantly surprised.
Okay, I can. We have not always found comfort in killers. We have not always found solace being rocked in the bosoms of those who silently prey and openly destroy. No, not always have we mistaken mimicry for mastery, or pretending for knowing, or enslavement for freedom. But across my memory marches millions, bold, regal, resilient, confident, unshackled feet stumping up spirits to guide us through this fickle material world. We like sun and moon folk, universal souls praying our prayers, singing our songs. Eshu, Ogun, Shango, Yemoja, Oshun, Obatala, Oya, Dambala, Aida, Wedora, Nkango, Olodumare, and Yame. We know all of you by name. We are people of beginnings, of culture, of strength. Not always have we given in to the empty threats and scare tactics of the powerless ones. Not always have we allowed the blood of our sons and daughters to color the streets while we're walking asleep, marching to the beat of death siren song. They're still wearing their sheets with nooses in reach, showing their teeth and smiling it seems. But I hear in the breeze, in the rustle of the trees, and the dangling of the feet, they say, please don't let them ever forget. You see, not always have we suffered from amnesia. Not always have we forgotten how to conjure up spirits, ancestor wisdom, fix up a mixture, spiritual elixir, ancient traditions. We like magicians visions, God-like vision. We are people of sight, so no, not always have we fallen for this okey doke or inhaled the hazardous smoke of the manipulators or been satisfied with crumbs from meals our hands have prepared. Hughes said life for us ain't been no crystal stair, but at least the steps are there to push us up higher, teach us how to go beyond the destroyer's disguises, look them in the eyes and be able to see, cause what's surprising when you know the nature of a beast, and especially when they've shown the same face for centuries. So you tell me, what's the difference between two sisters in New Orleans shot point blank in the back of the head and two women bombed in their car in Baghdad, or government-sanctioned killings in Kenya and a sister held hostage in a house in Virginia, or poverty in Haiti, poverty in Jamaica, rape in Rwanda or rape in Somalia, a sweatshop in China or one in Guatemala, or smallpox and blankets, syphilis and Tuskegee, formaldehyde and FEMA, ethnic cleansing and Katrina. I recall within the speech Dr. King made us aware. He said injustice anywhere is injustice everywhere, so they can spare us that drama, huh? We got the heart of them field working mamas. We carry the torch of that ancestor fire. So with every fiber that flutters in our being, with every find that comes from our seeking, with every hearing that comes from our listening, and every sight that comes from our seeing, we must be faithful, strategic, victorious, and free.
Thank you, Sonny Patterson.
You saying about bigging up Cabo.
Garvey was of the opinion that black people should have dominion over the wealth that we generate, then use it to create a united African state. Now we're back against the wall, and the wall seems like it a fall, and we never make it in time on the Black Star Line, and we still in doubt, figuring what black is all about. It's time we open our eyes and really realize that Garvey was wise. John know, say we're right. One game in sight, through destiny we have to fight.
All right, sound of Motor Baruka himself. Motor Baruka, of course, performing live with his band, the school band, and Motor Baruka live here on August 21 in the courtyard of IRI FM. We have heard a lot from Motor on his radio programs. We've even seen him perform as a solo act, but we rarely see Motor perform in Jamaica with his band. So this is going to be Motor Baruka as the performing artist next week Sunday here in the courtyard of IRI FM as we pay tribute to Mwalimu Marcus Mosiah Garvey in our special Mkutano. Of course, also, and we've been telling you about him, also scheduled for the event, scheduled as a special performer, Ron Bob Semple. He was born in Guyana. We know him very well. We use his voice all the time instead of Mwalimu Marcus Mosiah Garvey because there's not much out there recording of Mwalimu. But Ron Bob Semple has, in the ancestral way, through the genetic memory way, in the DNA way, we're talking about remembering who we are, he has become his ancestor, who is Mwalimu Marcus Mosiah Garvey, and gives us performances of Mwalimu that we know embodies the man himself. He joins me on the phone lines. Ron Bob Semple joins me from the United States. He'll be here with us next week Sunday. Mr. Ron Bob Semple, greetings, sir. Welcome to the program.
Greetings, my sister. How are you?
I am well if you two are well.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And you've made me even better now.
Brilliant. Okay, my brother, I am most honored to be having this conversation with you, and I can't wait to finally meet you. You know, I think we should have met last year when our brother Omari Yeshitelo was in Jamaica, because I know we missed each other, but do you see how the ancestors work? Because here you are,
absolutely,
and you came through Stephen Golding this time.
absolutely.
Yes, so it was to be. So thank you so much. But we have been playing the clips from you. We have been watching you on YouTube, and we are literally bowled over. You are from Guyana. Tell me about your first encounter with Morlemu Marcus Messiah Garvey.
Well, it it happened about, it had to be at least about 35 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I was sitting at a wedding reception, not a wedding, ceremony at a church in Brooklyn, and there was a stained glass window just to my right, with the image of the Honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey. And there's a young lady in front of me who turned, looked back at me. She knew me, and she said, "Well, you have a kind of slight resemblance to Garvey." And I said, because I hadn't known much about Marcus Garvey, because I came here to the United States in 1972. And I felt I owed it to myself as an artist. And because I'm a professional actor.
Yes.
But what I do with Garvey, my presentation with Garvey, is not an act. And I felt I owed it to myself as an artist, and respect to the UNIA, the Universal Negro Improvement Association, and African Communities League, to keep the name, the spirit, the ideologies, and the philosophies of Marcus Garvey alive in my own way. And I chose to do it as a one-man cultural and educational presentation. And after that comment was made to me by that sister, I immediately started doing my research on Garvey. And when I started, I was just absolutely fascinated to find out what Garvey had been saying 60, 70 years ago, prior to that. Mm-hmm. And it's as if nothing has moved. As many of us know that he was just way ahead of his time. And to read and to find out the contributions they've made and the responsibility for the situation in which we are today in many positive ways. And I felt that I needed to present these words to Garvey, and I started doing my research, and I pounded the streets, and I decided to do this presentation in the regalia, or a semblance of the regalia, because he's a little more popularly known singing in the regalia with the plumes and whatnot going down Fifth Avenue, and so I embarked on it, and when I started it, the presentation was about 5 or 6 minutes long.
Yeah.
And now the one that I present, it's about 45 minutes.
Mm-hmm. And you talk about the regalia, and you talk about the fact that what you do with in tribute to Marcus Garvey is not an act, even though you're an actor. And it's important to underscore that, because when we watch you and when we hear you, we actually feel that you...
It's a transformation, I think.
Yes. That is very clear to us. Let us kind of talk a little bit about the regalia, because you present not just the words of Morlemu, but also his image. You're in the regalia, you're in the plume, and all of that. How does that feel?
Once I'd done that regalia, my sister, as I mentioned a moment ago, there's a total transformation. Ron Bob Semple is out the window. And that spirit of Garvey just embodies me. It takes me over. I did this presentation in Senegal at the Angora Island.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm standing there right above the door of no return, where our ancestors left the continent for the last time.
Yes.
And when I got done, I went into a room and sat and cried like a baby.
Oh, my.
I've never before cried and felt so good, because I realized what just happened. One, Marcus Garvey never physically made it to the continent.
Africa, yes.
And here I am in his image, with his words, with his ideologies, here on the continent. It just overwhelmed me.
Yes.
And those brothers and sisters there in Senegal, they just swept me up and just took care of me. They were absolutely mesmerized.
Yes.
And, I've had the opportunity to do this presentation. Well, I've done it in Jamaica. I did it the first time in Jamaica when we celebrated the 100th anniversary of the birth of Marcus Garvey back in 1989.
Yes.
And I've been back in Jamaica 2 or 3 times since then. But I've had the opportunity, to do it in the Caribbean, in Bermuda, in Barbados, British Virgin Islands. And 4 years ago, I went on a Marcus Garvey legacy tour. And I was there in London, I was there in Berlin, Germany, Stockholm, Sweden, in Brussels. And it's just unbelievable. Of course, we are all over the world.
Yes, yes.
But especially in Berlin, Germany, those brothers and sisters there were so overwhelmed. But the mere fact that my presentation was translated, so that those who didn't quite understand the English language, would get a chance at least, follow along. But observations were made that some of those individuals were so mesmerized that they forgot about looking at the screen of the translation.
Yes, yes.
Because they got the message.
Yes,
And
yes.
of course the brothers and sisters were there in large numbers.
I can totally relate to that. We are so much, we really welcome you to Jamaica. We're looking forward to having you here. You mentioned before that you're an actor, and tell us about some of the roles that you've played, because I know we have seen you in some of those roles. So talk to us about some of those roles you've played outside of the Morlamu Marcus Messiah Garvey, which really is not an act, as you have pointed out.
Right, absolutely. Well, I've done several of August Wilson's plays. August Wilson, he had written a series of 10 plays for each decade. And to date, I've done 6 of them. The Fences with my good brother Avery Brooks. And I have been in the trenches, my sister, for a very long time, and this is why I'm able to use my creativity, use my talent to mold what I do with Garvey. I take full advantage of my ability, because Garvey was such an orator, and I have used that, because a lot of folks have asked me, "Oh, Ronnie, did you sit and you study Garvey, in his cadences and all?" No, I didn't. I've heard. I do have the recordings that you made mention of, which are very limited. Just about 2 of them.
2 of them, yes.
But I've listened to those recordings, and with his words, because I use the words of Garvey.
Yes.
And I use my own creativity, and I inject some theatrical touch to it. But once, as I mentioned, once I done that regalia, and that whole spirit of Garvey just embodies me, then as Garvey has said in his African fundamentalism, the sky's the limit.
Yes. My brother Ron Bob Semple, thank you so much for joining us. We're just 7 days away.
You're welcome, my sister, and I'm looking forward to being at the award ceremony too next Wednesday.
All right, and you're going to be here next Wednesday in Kingston. We're going to talk about that in a little while. The award ceremony being organized by the UNIA here in Kingston, Jamaica. Thank you so much.
No, thank you, my sister.
All right. Ron Bob Semple there, who really does embodies the Morlamu Marcus Messiah Garvey. He didn't mention this, but he also appeared in Tyler Perry's The Marriage Counselor in 2003. You might have seen him then.
No one remember who Marcus Garvey. No one remember who Marcus Garvey. No one remember who Marcus Garvey.
All right, let me go to the phone lines quickly. The Kingston Drummers are in the house on the 21st. And who do we have? Milton Bonner. Milton, morning.
Yes, good morning, blessed Cabo.
Greetings, my brother, greetings.
And greetings to you from all the members of the Kingston Drummers.
Thank you so much. Greetings to the members of Kingston Drummers. Tell me a little bit about the history of Kingston Drummers, because you've performed on so many cultural events in Jamaica and outside of Jamaica, but it means that you've been together for a very long time. Tell me about the group.
Very long time.
Yes.
The group Kingston Drummers was formed in 1995 at the Kingston Secondary School, now the Kingston High School.
Yes.
The group consists of 30 members back then, but now it's like 20 because some have migrated and stuff like that.
Yes.
There are members from the inner city of downtown Kingston, where the school is located.
Mm-hmm.
And in addition to the drums, percussion instruments which include hand drums, conga, funde, and djembes, maracas, tambourines, and other improvised percussions, as well as ensemble dancing and chanting, are also included in the group act. It is interesting and important to note that this group started with only one drum, augmented by improvised drums made of empty cheese tins. Yes,
It's interesting, that you started in high school with about 30 persons, and you still have a core of about 20. We've seen you performing all across Jamaica. We've seen you performing so many times, and each time it is really a wonder to behold. And you've just said to us that it includes a chanting, it includes a call and response, it includes the drumming and so on. Tell me, well, you can't give me all the names of the group members, but how do you prepare yourselves? I mean, how do you learn your chants? How do you do your research? Where do you get this knowledge from?
Okay, we have to give thanks to Bassania Clark, our teacher from back in the days, who used to go to the Edna Manley College, and then he would come and lay off the information to us. And otherwise, they got members of the group who have went away and studied. And when African drummers or persons of African interests come to Jamaica, they will come to us and give us information and teach us a few things.
Yes, I remember him.
And we have to give thanks for the great Calvin Mitchell, Keith and Samaragini, those great drummers who have taught us also. There are some senior members of drummers in Jamaica that look out for the younger generation and give us information and knowledge.
And thanks to you, the group, for keeping it together all these years. Let me. So, what can we expect from you when you get here on Sunday? Because how many members of the group coming in?
Okay, about 15. I probably got a few more.
Okay.
Because some are busy with church and stuff like that.
Yes. All right. So, tell us a little bit about what you're going to be doing on Sunday.
Okay, we're going to take you from Jamaican traditional rhythm to some Caribbean traditional to some West African traditional rhythms. It's going to be a very high energy and very enthusiastic. You got to get involved and everyone would feel us as usual.
And
very energetic.
And when you say high energy, we know you're going to be jumping up high and so on.
Wow.
The stage
better be good.
The stage is, it's concrete this time, so I don't know how we're going to
nice.
All right. because we're inside a great house, but we're looking forward. We're looking forward to...
yeah, man, and before I go, I would like to... A little libation here from Mr. Charles Reed, the former principal of the Kingston High School and assistant manager at the Kingston Drummers. He has passed staff, and we are giving condolences to the family.
Also from us here, we didn't know that. Also from us here.
To all the ancestors who have paved the way for us.
Yes, give thanks, my brother. Thank you so much. On whose shoulders we stand. Milton Bonner, see you when you're coming on Sunday.
Yeah, thank you very much. See you too, Cabo.
All right. The Kingston Drummers will be live in the house. Formed in 1995 at the Kingston High School. 20 members. The majority of the members, as you heard, from inner city communities. They have won many awards. They have made appearances in Cuba, Venezuela, French Guiana, the USA, Ghana, Cayman, also the UK. And that's brilliant.
When we lose our African connection, we lose our rural connection. When we disconnect ourselves from Africa, we cease to be a world people. Without the African connection, we are a disjointed people, begging for the entry into somebody else's house.
Stand tall, this is your centenary. Oh, what a celebration this is going to be. Yeah, to see the struggle of a poor one like me turn into a national praise. Oh, what a joy it brings, come celebrate. Let's shout his name, singing about. We're glad for you in so many.
Joining us on the phone lines, chairman of a new Black Panther Party, Ashiman Zinga. He'll be one of our main guest speakers come next week, Sunday here on the compound. Next week, Sunday here at IRFM. Of course, we told you about the different themes. The overall theme, breaking the cycle of mental control. And our brother Ashiman Zinga will speak on Black Power, the call for cultural, political, and economic self-determination. We join him live now on the phone lines. Good morning. Greetings, my brother.
Greetings and Black Power to my Jamaican family. How are you?
Black Power, my brother. Black Power. One Africa, one nation. We're looking forward to welcoming you, to having you here with us in the courtyard of IRFM on Sunday. As we get closer to the time, we wanted to make this quick connection with you just to look ahead to next week Sunday and to look briefly at the theme on which you'll be speaking, Black Power, the call for cultural, political, and economic self-determination. The last time we spoke, I'd asked you if Black Power was still relevant, and you emphatically said yes, it was. Let us pick up from there, because this is where we're going also next week, and you greeted me also with that Black Power. Why is the call for Black Power still relevant, and what does it mean?
Well, it's so easy dealing with Black Power when you come into Jamaica, because the man, he said, one God, one aim, and one destiny. And when you read the book list of the Honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey, and you read his philosophies and his opinions, and you read his book, Message to the People. But most of all, when you read the Honorable Marcus Garvey's book, Life and Lessons, which is the one that woke me up, all of his books speak of having confidence in black power in yourself. He always pointed us toward Africa, which is black power. And, you know, in his philosophy, he said that people without knowledge of their past and history and origin and culture is like a tree with no roots. Black power is the roots of our essence, of who we are. And, you know, and he talks about if you have no confidence in yourself, you are twice defeated in the race of life. But the main thing the Honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey gave us, he said, the chance has never yet satisfied the hope of the suffering people. He said the chance has never yet satisfied the hope of the suffering people. And what he meant by that is you can't wait on anybody to change your condition. And Garvey is the best person to use to talk about black power simply because he didn't talk about it. He didn't wait and suffer. Mm-hmm. He bought Black Star. He owned Black Star Lines. He came to America and did what none of these intellectuals over here could do. He was the first to get on the stock market. He was the first to raise over $2 million for the UNIA. He was the first to raise later $6 million. And he empowered black people. And to the point where he talked about back to Africa, but before he left America, he had set up a place for Africans to go back to in Liberia. And we know that the white man and the FBI and the government of America, and really the CIA and the government came against Garvey because Garvey knew and lived black power.
And you know, one of the things that we hear from time to time, and especially in the last few months, we see the efforts from white supremacists and others from the establishment and we're talking about the political and private sector, those institutions, to dampen the voice or to kill the voice of those who call for black power, those who say Black Lives Matter. And once again, there is a serious move to silence us. Against that background, is black power even more relevant now? And the call for that kind of a self-determination even more relevant now than ever before?
It is very much so, because this is the crossroads that we're going to make the right decision. And one of the things I'm excited about, very excited about, is the arc of justice is leaning our way, because we are a race of people in America that has been asleep, and we have tried to do everything in our power to please the white man. We have not been speaking truth to power. We have been saying anything we need to say to get along. When President Obama became president 8 years ago, it was like going to the dentist, like Malcolm X said, and getting Novocaine put in our bodies. We just went to sleep. And in that 8 years, the white man has started an inter-revolution and has put us to sleep and has taken so much back. But thank God, sister, thank God that Marcus Garvey said, look for me in the whirlwind and in the storm. And the storm is here, and the ancestors and the spirits of the Garveys, the Kwame Ture's and on, are waking us back up. And the greatest thing that you and I know, you cannot control these young people because they got Google, they got the internet. You cannot keep them and deceive them anymore. They will, if you give them your name, they will Google you while you're talking to them and see if you're real or not. And this new technology and this new young, powerful movement across the country, there's nothing nobody can do about it because it's divine and it's time. And we're not trying to say anything but one thing. It's our time, you know. And people say, why? because when you read the book, the destruction of the African civilization, the Portuguese, the British, everybody you can name, the Belgians, everybody has had their turn and their time to run black power. We had ran black power. The white man has ran black power. The British ran Africa. The British ran Ghana. The British ran Bahamas. The British ran Jamaica. The only island where they chased the British off and chased the Portuguese off and chased the Belgian off was Haiti. And we can go on into this, but we don't have to be afraid. We don't have to be ashamed to say we, black people with melanin, we, black people, descendants of Shaka Zulu, descendants of Patrice Lumumba, descendants of Nkrumah, descendants of Joe Kenyatta, we want black power, and we demand to have black power, and black power is for black people, not white people.
My brother, well said. Thank you so much for that. Just an indication of what we'll be hearing from our dear brother, Ashima Nzinga, when he comes in on the 21st. That's next week, Sunday. Will this be your first visit to Jamaica? Have you been in before?
It'll be my first, but not my last.
And we welcome you, my brother, Kwaba, to Africa in the diaspora. Thank you so much. We'll see you next week. Thank you for this time.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to coming to meet you, and I'm looking forward to see Professor James Smalls and Dr. Johnson. We're looking forward to meet the Jamaican people.
Of course, ancestral guidance.
Coconut.
Okay, we'll make sure you have that. Ancestral guidance, my brother, on your way to Jamaica. Thank you so much.
All right. Black Power.
Black Power. All right. Ashima Nzinga there will be in next week, Sunday, and he'll be speaking on the topic Black Power, the call for cultural, political, and economic self-determination.
The single largest relief project that the United States committed taxpayer dollars to, $124 million to be exact, was a project called Caracol, a textile factory that was built in the northern part of the country that was supposed to create some 60,000 jobs and was supposed to create tremendous economic growth.
There's a problem here already. You see, the earthquake affected the southern part of Haiti. The northern part of the country was entirely unaffected.
But who were the beneficiaries of this? Companies like Gap, Target, and Walmart, to name a few. The Caracol factory was built, but it didn't create 60,000 jobs. It created barely 5,000 jobs. But the major American companies who got textiles tariff-free, made at low wages, benefited enormously.
And the end effect on the Haitians was very, very minimal. If you look at some of the infrastructure projects that were undertaken, the Clintons had very grand plans to build large tracts of homes, and there were contractors that were selected for those projects. Sometimes the contractors had experience, sometimes they did not.
There's one company in Florida that spent $1 million getting equipment into Haiti. They had experience in disaster relief, but according to the owners of that company, they only made a small donation to the Clinton Foundation. And guess what? They didn't get any relief contracts. On the other hand, the contractors who did win the awards were given the opportunity to build homes, and in some instances were supposed to build tens of thousands of homes for Haitians. They ended up building a fraction of that. For instance, the New Settlements program was supposed to build 15,000 homes for $53 million. Instead, it built 2,600 homes, less than a quarter of the original estimate, for $90 million, or $47 million over budget.
And they got away with it.
So you had contracts going to these relief organizations that were also involved with the Clinton Global Initiative. And you had this one organization, Dahlberg, that was supposed to do an assessment for relocating people that suffered from the earthquake. They determined that people should be moved to a site that happened to be on a cliff that was highly unstable. USAID's Inspector General reviewed Dahlberg's recommendations and found them basically unusable. One member of the USAID shelter team was quoted by Rolling Stone magazine as saying that the recommendations were so bad, it looked like the team never even got out of their SUVs. Another person said that only one of the people that was sent to Haiti by Dahlberg actually spoke French.
Telecom mogul Dennis O'Brien is one of the world's richest people, and he's finding opportunities in the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere. The Irish billionaire is the largest private investor in Haiti through his company Digicel, and he's now leading the Clinton Global Initiative efforts down in Haiti.
Probably no one came out better in the Haitian reconstruction effort than an Irish billionaire named Dennis O'Brien. He was a Clinton Foundation donor, giving them between $5 and $10 million. He helped arrange speeches for Bill Clinton, too.
The interest of the Obama administration, particularly the former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, all the different things that have happened to help Haiti get up off the floor have been led by the U.S.
And he was the owner of something called Digicel, which is a cell phone company at the time of the earthquake. As part of that relief effort, the State Department run by Hillary Clinton wanted to fund a mobile money transfer service that would allow Haitian citizens to transfer and receive money on their phones. Well, Digicel applied to be the recipient of that grant money. 4 weeks after their application, Digicel actually sponsored a speech for Bill Clinton in Jamaica, and they paid him $225,000. And as it turns out, within 4 months of that speech, Digicel would receive the first installment of that grant money. The earthquake actually has been great for Digicel and Dennis O'Brien.
More than 4 years since a magnitude 7.0 earthquake devastated Haiti, and outrage there is growing over the largely failed reconstruction effort, despite the hundreds of millions of dollars in aid that has been collected and spent by the IHRC, the Interim Haiti Recovery Commission.
So whether you're talking about housing or cell phones, you see that the people that are closest to the Clintons have made out very well from the Haitian earthquake. The rest of the country, the ordinary people of Haiti, not so much.
Haitian activists staged a protest outside Hillary Clinton's Manhattan office. The demonstrators claim billions of dollars were stolen through the Haiti Reconstruction Commission headed by Bill Clinton. They also say Haiti was used as a cover for foreign governments to funnel kickbacks of possibly hundreds of millions of dollars through the Clinton Foundation. They say it was done in exchange for favors that Hillary was doing for them as Secretary of State.
The tragedy is we had an opportunity to rebuild in a way that would give the people of that country hope. Sadly, that opportunity was squandered, and what took place, rather than rebuilding Haiti, was the self-enrichment by friends of the Clintons. For all of Bill Clinton's talk about building Haiti back better, the fact remains that the most visible evidence of Clinton's role in the recovery isn't the improvement of daily life for everyday Haitians, but the construction of new luxury hotels just miles from the folks who have been living in tarps USAID handed out immediately after the earthquake.
We are telling the world of the crimes that Bill and Hillary Clinton are responsible for in Haiti.
But while the world eventually lost interest in Haiti's recovery, the influence and connections afforded to donors from the Clinton Foundation appear to have been lessons learned by others. So how much do connections to the Clintons matter when you're talking about Haiti? Consider the case of gold mining. The government of Haiti had not granted a gold mining concession in 50 years. They decided to do so during the reconstruction of their country, which was being overseen by Bill and Hillary Clinton. What company did they select to get this gold mining permit? A company called VCS Mining. VCS Mining had very little experience in gold mining, but what did they have? They had connections. Shortly after they got that concession, someone joined their board of directors. It just happened to be Tony Rodham, brother of Hillary Rodham Clinton.
It was a true disaster that followed the earthquake, which was the natural disaster. This was the man-made Clinton-caused disaster in relief that led to the wasting of enormous sums of money, the enrichment of elites that were friends with the Clintons, and the Haitians were left in a situation where their life was really not much better than it was the day after the earthquake happened.
We're going to be talking right now to our next very, very special guest. Once again, 3 themes for next week. The African spirituality, a tool for liberation, seeing God in our own image, is a theme that our dear brother, Professor James Small, will be speaking on.
Oh, what a celebration this is going to be. Yeah, to see the struggle of a poor one like me turn
And our brother Umar Johnson, Dr. Umar Johnson, will be speaking on the theme, Education for Liberation, Breaking the Cycle of Mental Control. Going to go live now to Trinidad, where our brother David Muhammad. All right, so we're trying to get David Muhammad on the phone lines. In the meantime, let's go to Professor James Small. David Muhammad, of course, one of our main speakers, will be speaking also on Breaking the Cycle of Mental Control. Professor James Small will be one of our guest speakers here. And his topic is African Spirituality, a Tool for Liberation, Seeing God in Our Own Image. Professor Small is the CEO of Sanaa Large Enterprise, which is in Ghana.
With sticks and stone, with strength, courage, and dignity, I know one day we shall hope.
As we join our dear brother, Professor James Small, on the phone lines. Professor Small, once again, thank you so much for joining us inside of the Africa Forum. Thank you, my brother.
Oh, thank you for the opportunity. How are you doing?
I am well, if you two are well.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, give thanks. Give thanks. Professor Small, we just can't tell you how much we're looking forward to seeing you when you come into Jamaica. The nation is literally waiting for this event. You would not believe it. I can tell you that the energy is as high as you can possibly get. Are you yourself looking forward to coming in?
Oh, absolutely. Yes. I've been talking about it for a month now.
Yes.
I was in Africa telling everybody I'm going to Jamaica.
Yes, I'm looking forward to that myself. Professor Small, your theme, the overall theme, of course, is breaking the cycle of mental control, and you'll be speaking on African spirituality, a tool for liberation, seeing God in our own image. Before we get to that, let's just talk about the cycle of mental control just briefly, because we have a few minutes. What do you, and is it really, are we in a cycle of mental control? What does that mean?
Oh, absolutely. In the 400 years of slavery and the war that ensued, most people think of slavery like it was a work program. It was not a work program. It was not a labor agreement where people moved over here to take a job. Mm-hmm. This was genocide. This was warfare. They fought wars against us in Africa. We were captured. We were brutalized. People were raped, molested, and then brought to the Caribbean and brought to the Americas and went through hundreds of years of mental and physical challenge. Language taken away. Language is how people remember their history. Mm-hmm. Language is how people formulate their ethical thoughts and values. And so when someone takes away your language, they take away your ability to remember yourself.
Yes.
They take away your ability to understand your own mental construct. And then you are given symbols of spirituality and symbols of worship that is in the image of the one doing the murdering and the one doing the raping and the one doing the abusing. Mm-hmm. So instead of you being able to formulate a resistance against a model, you now are worshiping the model you should be resisting. Mm-hmm. It's a terrible thing that happened in this process. Yes. And we are still in the syndrome. We haven't gotten out of it yet because we we're taught to love and tolerate our enemy through a process of brutality, religion, and intellectual imposition as well as language. Mm-hmm. Then an educational system was put in place, it's still in place, to constantly repeat this indoctrination and this brainwashing, where my God looks like my enemy,
yes.
Where the literature of my enemy is how I find my ethical, moral structure, where my enemy's dress and aesthetics is what I hold to the highest level, where my enemy's behavior, no matter how brutal, is what I repeat, even if it creates a black-on-black crime that mutilates our community. And we're not able to stop and say to ourselves, there's something wrong. with how we behave, because there's something wrong with how we got the ideas, principles, and concepts we use to guide and inform behavior.
And so
that's what we're wrestling with. That's what Garvey came and tried to help us out of by showing us our history and our culture, and showing us that we had a value and a worth beyond what had been imposed on us, that we had a history that was old and repleted with great and fantastic things, that we had built civilizations, and we had models to recreate family. We had models to recreate our society that was fundamentally African.
Yes. And, so,
as you talked, we're struggling with that now, all over the world.
And you've pointed, Professor, to as we talk about the cycle, the institutions that are in place to ensure that the cycle continues of education and religion and socialization and so on.
Religion, the education, the cultural institution, the theaters, the museums, the libraries, the books, all of these things enforce a position of inferiority. All of it enforce a position that devalues the African. All of these things enforce a family structure that doesn't work for us. All of these things enforce a relationship model that doesn't work for us. All of these things enforce a gender confusion that is destructive for us. And so we have got to change our direction. And some of us are doing it. We've been fighting to do it from the days of Kofi Annan, and we must continue to fight.
And as you talk about
the days of Garvey, and we must continue to fight.
And as you talk about Kofi Annan, and you mentioned earlier how the education or the miseducation is part of that cycle of mental control. That I'm looking even at our curriculum. I had a conversation with my husband just this week, talking about how we were taught about the people like Nani and the Maroons in Jamaica. And we looked specifically at Wanda Bolas and Wanda Seras. Now, we were taught, and I'm just throwing this in there, and persons who are listening can go do their research later on, but we were taught that Wanda Bolas was the hero. It turns out that Wanda Bolas was the one who betrayed us. And we were taught that Wanda Seras, who fought against that betrayal, that he was a betrayer. Because we were taught that history through the prism of the British, of the white man's history. And even to this day, we have not yet reclaimed Wanda Seras, and we have not said publicly, as an educational institutions, or even through the Ministry of Education, that Wanda Bolas indeed was a traitor, not the hero of this story. So a simple thing like that we have been taught to hate our heroes and honor those who betray us. This is where we are.
And it's not just the person, but it's the principles they stood for that we began to inculcate and repeat. You see?
Yes.
And so those who stand up in Jamaica now, in North America now, in Ghana now, who stand for principles that will restore and heal us, principles and concepts that come from our ancestors, they're considered the ones that's crazy. They're considered to be the troublemaker. They're considered the ones that is causing confusion. Yet our societies is riddled with crime, riddled with confusion. We've got all of this ill-prepared, unemployed people. We've got young men who don't know how to build family structures, and yet they say keep following the blueprints, which doesn't work. It doesn't work.
And
it wasn't designed to work for us. It is designed to cripple and keep us enslaved mentally, culturally, politically, and economically.
And so that finally, Professor, and so that finally, Professor, we are preempting your talk, but we wanted to at least give persons an idea of where we're going in terms of the theme this year as we pay tribute to Morlamu Marcus Messiah Garvey. That you're going to focus specifically, even though I'm sure you'll have to broaden it, to African spirituality and how this also can be a tool for liberation.
Yes, ma'am. No, I always tell people that I speak on African spirituality and not on African spookality. And yes. What I mean by that is African spirituality. We have a theological view of the universe. We have a notion of cosmogony. We have a sense of divinity. And all of that is a part of our histology, our culture. But we don't know it. What is the African view of creation? We have creation stories written tens of thousands of years before the Bible, the Torah, and the Quran. I'm going to read a little bit of it when I'm down there. And tell them which books they can go to see these creation stories, because they're in the museums all over Europe, so they know our stories. We have an idea of divinity. The African notion of God is that God is every and all things at once, including you. That the human being, and this is for every African society, every language system, the African sense is that the human being is an expression of an aspect of the divine essence having the human experience. And that we came to earth with a specific purpose that we agreed to in heaven with God before we left.
Yes.
And we've come to fulfill that purpose, yet many of us forget it because of the ways of the earth. So our way, our religious way, is to remind us of that destiny so that we can fulfill that destiny and do God's work on earth. Mm-hmm. And there's a set of ethical, moral principles that should be brought into being. The African system also includes a concept, especially when we look at the Yorubas, called awo. Awo. And it's a concept that describes reincarnation. Mm-hmm. That we reincarnate in the same families that we originally were born to earth in, over and over and over, until we perfect ourselves so that we go back and be one with God again. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to discuss that system.
Yes.
And I'm going to discuss its relationship to problem solving, conflict resolution, both in the individual's mind, in the family unit, and in the greater nation. Mm-hmm. If we would use some of the African spiritual models to help us solve problems, we'd probably get an awful lot more problems solved.
All right. We're looking forward to that. Professor James Small, thank you so much. Ancestral guidance on your way to Jamaica. Can't wait for you to come in. You're coming in on Thursday, and for our listeners, you're coming in time to join Mutabaruka on the stepping razor. So once again, we'll hear you on air before Sunday. So we see you on Thursday.
I'm looking forward to being with Muta. I haven't seen him for a while.
Yes, that's true.
So that should be fantastic.
All right. Take care, Professor. Thank you so much.
Okay, my dear.
Ancestral
Bye-bye.
guidance. Professor James Small. And of course, you heard his topic will be African spirituality, a tool for liberation, seeing God in our own image. We're still trying to get to our brother David Muhammad in Trinidad. He'll be here come next week. He'll be right here at IRFM. Trying to get him on the phone lines, but we're not getting through, so I'm not quite sure why we're not getting to you, David Muhammad, but we're still trying.
I could hear the elders saying, these are the days for which we've been praying 7 miles.
David Muhammad, of course, speaking on the theme of breaking the cycle of mental control. He is a Trinidad and Eastern Caribbean representative of the Honorable Louis Farrakhan and the Nation of Islam. He's a Black Agenda Project Director. He's also author of the book Black Studies. Black Studies, as you recall, analyzes the 6 main strands of Black liberation ideology. We are going to be hearing him on a Sunday. I wanted to make this quick link with him. We're not able to get through. All right, we're going to be going to the phone lines, as we said before. In great anticipation of our next guest on the phone lines, Jamaica is literally holding its breath for our next guest, who will be coming in for our tribute to Mwalimu Marcus Mosiah Garvey. We're talking about the Prince of Pan-Africanism. We're talking about Dr. Umar Johnson. He comes in live as we pay tribute to the father of Pan-Africanism, Mwalimu Marcus Mosiah Garvey, right here in the courtyard of IRI FM. Among the speakers, Professor James Small, who you heard from earlier, our brother Hashim Nzinga, who we just spoke with, our brother David Muhammad, and of course, Dr. Umar Johnson. We are who we've been waiting for. We are the Black Star Liner. Let's go to the phone lines where our brother is standing by. My brother, Dr. Umar Johnson, thank you so much for joining.
Thank you, Queen. It's an honor to be back on the airwaves. Shout out to the entire island of Jamaica. Can't wait to see you guys next weekend.
And you heard me, Jamaica, and I mean it, is literally holding its breath until you get here. No joke.
Glad to hear that. Glad to hear that. I have a very special relationship with Jamaica and with my Jamaican family all across the world. As you know, I've spent a lot of time in Europe, the British Islands, London, Birmingham, strong Jamaican presence there. And so much of my supporters over in the UK are also of Jamaican origin.
And they're listening right now online at irifm.net. So good morning to you in Europe and good morning to you on every continent where you're listening from. We know they're listening because we see you on the social media. Dr. Umar Johnson, breaking the cycle of mental control, of course, is our topic, our overarching theme for next week as we pay tribute to Mwalimu Marcus Mosiah Garvey. You, of course, will be speaking specifically to education for liberation, breaking that cycle. It is something that you have been focused on seriously, and there is a reason for that. Why is it so important to look at education if we're talking about breaking the cycle for mental control, of mental control, if we're talking about liberation and finishing the promise of emancipation?
I think that the reason we have to begin with education is within our liberation struggle, the global Pan-African redemption movement, we often put the cart before the horse. And you can't put the cart before the horse. The horse pulls the cart doesn't pull the horse, which is the mind. The mind is the horse. The mind pulls the body. The mind develops the programs. The mind determines the trajectory. So until we reprogram, until we liberate the African mind, then we won't be able to engage in any of the other nation-building projects that we need. Before you can have that economic revolution, before you can have that cultural revolution, before you can have that social revolution, before you can have that black family revolution, you got to have a psychological revolution, because the mind is the master power. And whatever it is we need to do must be first conceived and achieved psychologically before it can ever be achieved or conceived materially.
And we just spoke with Professor Small, and he's going to be looking at African spirituality as a tool for liberation. He touched a little bit on the institutions that continue to perpetrate this cycle of mental control, and briefly talked about education and how important it is for us to look at curriculum development and so on when we're talking about this. But what does it take? What does it take at the end of the day? Is it the structured institution as we have it now, or will we have to break down these structures and rebuild our own?
I believe it's a combination. I think that it's going to be difficult to really wholesale educate African children without some degree of institutionalization, because you need that protocol, you need that process, you need that discipline, and you need that rigor. So there is a place for institutionalization. However, from the aspect of liberation, we must also allow the mind of the African child to give free spirit to the different desires that that child has. So if someone is more of an intellect, if someone is more of a practitioner, if someone is more of a scholar, if someone is more of a builder, someone is more of a warrior, we have to give their God-given destiny an opportunity to reveal itself within the educational paradigm. So I think it's a balance between the self-directed, discovery-based learning of the African child versus the intensive, structural, and rigorous curriculum that we need to provide. So I see it as twofold, allowing the child to come into their own while at the same time giving them that foundation that the global African world needs them to have so they can play a relevant role in our renaissance.
In the promo that we're running here at IRFM on air for the event on the 21st, we take a clip from one of his speeches that you gave in the U.S. I think you're delivering that speech where you talked about socializing African children, and you talked about that if, regardless of what we do, we could read and study African classical civilizations, read as many books as we want about African cultural heritage and all of that, but until we change the way we think, until we change a mindset, you go on to say we will still be buying from the Chinese shops.
Yes, because in that analyses of undoing mental slavery simply by piling information into the consciousness is never going to work, because that paradigm concludes that slavery is nothing more than the need for information. Slavery exists because we are ignorant, and that is an incorrect assessment. Slavery is about conditioning. It is about conditioning. It is about manipulating the mind to operate in a certain preconceived pattern. That's what slavery is about. So you can read all the books. You can go to Africa. You can change your name. You can participate in every type of cultural function, and you will still be a slave, because all you are doing is piling information onto an unconscious that is still unhealthy. It's like having a computer, okay, and you take out the flash drive, and you put in another flash drive, and you take out another flash drive. You're switching the information. You're switching the data. But the CPU remains the same. The central processing unit of the computer continues to malfunction no matter what type of data you put inside it, because it's not the data that determines the effectiveness of the computer. It's the CPU. And the CPU in the human brain is the unconscious. And the only way you can reprogram the unconscious is to re-socialize the unconscious. It was habituated pattern that made a slave, and it will be habituated pattern that makes a free man.
My brother, I am not going to have you talk too much, because you're going to talk on Sunday, and this is a kind of passion that we get from you on issues like these that we really welcome. That I find that there is a vacuum in the Pan-African community, in the African community generally, on issues like these. So thank you very much for that. You're coming in on a Friday. You're also going to be speaking at the University of the West Indies in Montego Bay, the Montego Bay branch, and that will be on the 23rd. So I just want my listeners to know that the screening of a documentary, Hidden Colors 3, The Rules of Racism, and a further discussion with Dr. Umar Johnson will take place at Lecture Room E202, East Building, University of the West Indies, Western Jamaica Campus, 10 Queens Drive, Montego Bay. That's on Tuesday, August 23 at 5:30 p.m. So Dr. Umar Johnson will be coming to Montego Bay. Dr. Johnson, you're being brought into Jamaica by the Roots Foundation, and we really must thank the Roots Foundation out of Florida for doing this, for allowing us to partner with them on your coming into Jamaica. So thanks to our sponsors. And once again, thank you so much. Ancestral Guidance as you come in on Friday.
Thank you, Queen. I will see you soon.
All right. Well, good. Dr. Umar Johnson there, he's scheduled to be in on Friday and he'll be here on Sunday. He'll once again be in Montego Bay on the 23rd, which is Tuesday, August 23 at 5:30 p.m. at the Western Jamaica campus. You're inside of the Africa Forum. It is Running African.
This is Okradowski of WeAreChange.org here in Philadelphia at a protest against Hillary Rodham Clinton. As you can see, there's a large number of people from the Haitian community who are pissed off at Hillary Rodham Clinton. If you don't understand geopolitics, this is the video for you. We're going to explain everything that you need to know about what Hillary Clinton and the Clinton family did to Haiti. I'm here joined by Joseph. Joseph, can you explain to us why is the Haitian community mad at Hillary Clinton?
Well, we have every reason to be mad because the Clintons have destroyed Haiti for the decades. And, you know, they pretend to be our friends when in reality they are our number one enemies. You know, there are some other people who clearly behave like they don't like us. So it's easy for us to protect ourselves against them because we know they are our enemies. But the Clintons are even more dangerous because they pretend to be our friends when in reality they're destroying Haiti.
Because I heard that the Clinton Foundation and all these other organizations gave over $6 billion to Haiti for the relief effort, especially during the kind of natural disasters that you guys have gone through. Is that true?
No, it's more than true. The money is much more than $6 billion. You see, after the earthquake, countries around the world donate billions of dollars. The amount was much larger than $6 billion. And Bill Clinton was in charge of the money. And not only people around the world, but also American celebrities donate a lot of larger money to rebuild Haiti. And hundreds of homes were destroyed after the earthquake. And if you can believe, the people are still living under tents. That's unacceptable. And not only they held the money, they kept the money, but Haiti had enough resources for them to be very comfortable. Haiti have oil, more oil than Venezuela. Nobody's talking about. Haiti have gold. We have one of the largest gold mine in the Caribbean. So, and they let the world, nobody's saying anything about our goals. Yeah. And who do you think is in charge of our goal right now? The contract. Yeah. Tony Rodham, Hillary Clinton's brother. Wow. He's got a 26 years contract. And then also Haiti used to produce, we used to produce our own rice. We didn't have to buy rice overseas. Bill Clinton destroyed our rice so his brother can sell the rice from Arkansas.
Yeah, wow.
So they're doing a lot of things. Right now, if there's a millionaire or a billionaire who wants to do business in Haiti, they cannot do anything unless they check with the Clintons. The Clintons are the one who's running Haiti. Yeah. And we are living in the 21st century. We are the first black people who liberate ourselves from the French rule. We fought 3 empires, the British, the Spanish, the French. So it's unacceptable for us to be occupied right now. They dropping disease in Haiti. They stealing our money. They stealing our resources. So we are out here. We are outraged for the crimes of the Clintons. Hillary Clinton have too much criminal records. She have no business running for president, especially for the news that came out in the email. Find out that the DMC made all these tricks in order to favor Hillary Clinton.
Yeah, they rigged the system. Yeah. But my question is, when it comes to Hillary Clinton's brother, how was he able to get that contract? How were the Clintons allowed to have such control of Haiti?
It's a family affair. Bill Clinton, the United Nations named him the chief guy who was in charge of rebuilding Haiti. And then while Hillary Clinton was the Secretary of State, so it's a family thing. Chelsea Clinton, all the Clinton Foundation, they're just stealing money. And most of the money, I can tell you right now, I know they have a lot of speech for money around the world and for Wall Street, but most of the money they have right now is from Haiti, from the Haitians. And when they're letting the world know we are poor, let me give you one simple example. If you are super rich, and then I would go and tell the whole world that you are poor for years, for decades, and then everybody believes you're poor. and then I would come out and steal your money. And then you go and let everybody know I stole your money. They're going to think you crazy. Because everybody knows, the world knows Haiti is the poorest country when we are not. We are rich. Haiti used to call the island of Pearl. Haiti is still rich. So there are Haitian lawyers, Haitian doctors everywhere they are millionaires who wants to go and spend their money in Haiti. But the United States government, not only they stealing our resources, our money, they create kidnapping. Now we are even afraid to go to Haiti. You cannot walk in the streets in Haiti. And then what the Clintons, they own the hotel, they go everywhere, they do whatever they want. This is unacceptable. I myself, I'm ready to die. I want the whole world to know who the Clintons are. This have to stop. This have to stop. It's time for us to stand up. We cannot take this any longer.
Amazing information. Where can people find out more about the resources of how the Clintons ultimately now control Haiti? Is there a website? Is there any other information that you want to share?
There is a website. I'm not the leader of this group, but you can check with him. He'll give you all the information. Okay, and also you can go to YouTube. You're gonna see our videos. You can put you can put Haitian American Joseph Matthew, and then you're gonna see the first video would be me exposing the Clintons in front of the Trump Tower. We know, so we have a lot of videos, and in terms of information, we have flyers, we have a website, but like I said, my leader over here, he will give you all the other information that you need.
Because we saw the investigations into where a lot of the relief funds for Haiti came into, and it ultimately went nowhere to the people but big multinational corporations, and a lot of the people who are still dealing with that natural disaster never got any relief because all the money that was funneled into them, even through the Red Cross, even through the Clinton Global Initiative, which the Clinton Global Initiative sometimes uses and brags like, look, we helped out Haiti, we did this for Haiti. What did they do for Haiti, and what's the current situation there?
What have the Clinton, not only Haiti, what have the Clinton done with their foundation? They don't help anyone. They're just enriching themselves. Going, stealing people's money, resources, that's what they do. We're asking friends, the American friends, to stand up with us. This is unacceptable. We cannot allow this to happen. We are living in the 21st century. We cannot allow a liar, a crooked, a thief to be president. We cannot allow that to happen. If that happened, I would have no respect for America or United States anymore. Because I used to believe America was the greatest country in the world, but there is no more justice anymore. Because the American justice is crooked. Look how they're supporting Hillary Clinton. This is unacceptable.
Thank you so much for the information. Thank you so much for the passion. A lot of people in America do not know this. Is there any other information you want to leave us with when it comes to the Clintons, when it comes to the situation in Haiti right now?
Well, other information I can tell you, you need to go and Google yourself to find out about our resources, you know, what's really happening in Haiti. And right now, even though there's a lot of poverty in Haiti, but there's two sides in Haiti. There is a bourgeois who's living in Haiti. Haiti is not all poor. Haiti, there's a lot of Haitian, they don't even come here. They go to Europe, they go to Italy on vacation, they go to France. They're the one who's holding the wealth of Haiti, and then they're the one that the Clintons are supporting, because as long they let the peasant Haitian suffering, they are under the tents, and they're okay. As long the bourgeois are okay, that's why they separate the money, the relief money. So all this corruption needs to be stopped. There's too much corruption in the government. Too much corruption. So all my life, I believe America is a country where you have justice, you have freedom of speech, freedom of assembly, freedom of religion, but I don't see it anymore. So we have too much resources for us to be suffering right now.
Yep. You're definitely right about that, Joseph. Thank you so much. Your link will be in the description below of this video. Again, look what Hillary Clinton did to Haiti. Imagine what she's going to do to this country when she's president. Subscribe. We're going to have a lot more information coming here your way on youtube.com/wearechange. One last thing.
One last thing. You see, the Clintons, they don't like black people. They pretend to like us. Bill Clinton signed more laws to incarcerate, to put black people in jail. That's a fact. It's been in the news. All the Democrats are doing for the blacks. The blacks, some of them are waking up right now. All they do is vote for Democrats. The Democrats, all they're doing is more welfares, more jails, more food stamps. We need more than that. We need opportunities. There's all of us, many of us are educated. We need more schools. And then a lot of black people are in jail right now because of Bill Clinton. You know, all the crime bills, NAFTA, everything. So we are not allowed to. Right now, we don't even have a president. If we choose a president, they don't want. The Clintons want to be the one who choose a president for us. That's unacceptable. We don't even have a president. We cannot have we don't have an election right now because of the Clintons. This needs to be stopped because they chose the one we had before was Michel Martelly. He was a crackhead, a guy who's putting down his pen, doing all corruption. He's the one that the Clintons support. And then on his administration, the Clinton was allowed to steal billions of dollars in Haiti. So this is why they do not want us to choose a president of our own. We need to govern our own country. We need to be able to trade with other countries because we have gold, we have uranium, we have oil, we have marble, we have everything. So it's time for us, just leave us alone. Stop saying we are poor. We don't even need help from the United States. We have enough resources to trade with China, with other countries, because we are the first black Republic Haitian who free ourselves from slavery. We even fought for Americans' independence, but nobody wants to give us credit for what we have done. So I'm sick and tired of it, and all the Haitians are sick and tired of it. So I thank you for hearing our cry, because we need more American to support us to expose what the Clintons are doing to our country.
The situation is dire in Haiti, and it's mainly because of the Clintons. This information needs to get out, and it will only get out with you sharing this video, getting the word out there, because the mainstream media will not talk about this. Get it out there. Thank you again so much for watching.
It's time now for In Focus Now. In Focus Now. In conjunction with Miguel Lone Printing and Publishing Company, the Marcus Garvey Foundation will be holding the 129th birthday tribute to the Honorable Morlamu Marcus Messiah Garvey on Wednesday, August 17 at 3 p.m. And we are joined on the phone lines in focus by Miguel Lone. My brother Miguel Lone, good morning. We're focusing now on the 129th birthday tribute that is being done in conjunction with yourself and the Marcus Garvey Foundation. I know that there is a very special event planned. Can you give us a background to what is going to be involved on the 17th? I know that there's a publishing or a republishing of a very important book. Miguel Lone, good morning.
Greetings and blessings. One love, my sister. Blessings.
Greetings, Miguel. Tell us about the event on the 17th. What's the highlight?
The highlight is that recently we republished and printed the philosophy and opinions of Marcus Garvey. And this is the first time it has been printed and published in Jamaica. It had been printed abroad, previous occasions, and published abroad. And having done so now, we're going to be launching this book on the 17th of August at 75 East Street, downtown Kingston. We want to put a lot of emphasis on the philosophy and opinions of Marcus Garvey, and we are making every effort that at least every home in Jamaica should have a copy of this great manifesto. It's a black manifesto for black liberation. We have been making attempts to get it into the schools and so on.
Yes.
But it hasn't borne fruits. The previous Minister of Education had promised to buy 500 copies. Then he was voted out, and the new minister has not yet decided how they're going to go about it. And so we're making every effort to get this philosophy into the schools, into the homes, in all the places,
which I believe is critical. And so the event, while this is also a focus on the 17th, what else will be happening?
Also, we'll be having other speakers there. We'll be having, for example, Shaka Karenga,
Shaka, he's the head of the maths department at Kingston College. We'll also be having Brother Osa Otagbaro. He's the vice principal at Woolmer's Boys School. We're inviting these persons because we are working to see how best we can teach Garvey in the schools. Because that's where we really want to get it going. So these persons will be some of our guest speakers. Sister Martha Desume, head of the Haitian Jamaican Association. Dr. Michael Barnett will also be one of our speakers. Priest Dermot Fagan, Ras Aimo will also be some of our speakers. We'll also have cultural presentations. Ras Chakula and his band will be there. We'll also have Evad, Brother Gabriel Selassie, Haile Malakot. Some of the Kingston drummers will also be there. Empress Thunderous, and the brother who's the president of the Rastafari United Front from South Africa, he'll also be one of our speakers. And the chairman of the function will be Aisha Musa Menelik. That is, some people remember him as Brother Racy Matthews.
Okay.
So we're hoping to have a great day starting at 3 o'clock on the 17th of August, Wednesday the 17th at 75 East Street.
Downtown Kingston. Thank you so much, Miguel Lorne. In focus now, the Marcus Garvey Foundation in conjunction with Miguel Lorne Printing and Publishing hosting the 129th birthday tribute to the Honorable Mwalimu Marcus Messiah
And of course, we'll also be on the 21st at IRFM to join in that grand function which you're organizing.
All right. Thank you so much, my brother. Thank you, Miguel Lorne.
Give thanks, my sister.
Also in focus now, in commemoration of the 50th anniversary of the visit of His Imperial Majesty the Emperor Haile Selassie I of the Caribbean, the University of the West Indies Rastafari Studies Center Special Project Office of the Principal announces its third Rastafari Studies Conference and General Assembly, the African Millennium in Perspective, Rastafari Business Enterprise Development, August 13 to 17, 22 West Road, Uwimona Campus, August 18 to 21, Uwe Western Jamaica Campus in Montego Bay. On August 13, Rastafari Business Seminars and Apiculture Clinic, 22 West Road. That was yesterday. On August 14, Old Elders Care Clinic and Wellness Day. That's today. Old Dramatic Theatre, Uwimona, featuring Country Farmhouse and RBPA. Also Professor Fred Hicklin. That's today. August 15 will feature research and innovation in ganja, ganja industry development in Jamaica, ganja workshop and testing. And August 16, nutraceuticals and ITIL nutrition, Rastafari Herbal Liberty, open house films and panels. On August 17, the Rastafari United Front South Africa Summit, Marcus Garvey Earth Day celebrations. On August 18, they're in Montego Bay. And August 19, the way forward towards Rastafari sustainable development. August 21, they'll be here at the Marcus Garvey celebrations here at IRFM. So once again, that is in commemoration of the 50th anniversary of the visit of His Imperial Majesty, the Emperor Haile Selassie I to the Caribbean. The University of the West Indies Rastafari Studies Center hosting this symposium August 13 to August 21.
Oxfam, that research institute in Great Britain that is very famous and every year issues reports on global inequality. That's what they study. They're very famous, been around for a long time. If you're interested, just go oxfam.org and you can see on the internet all their reports and everything. Earlier this year, I believe in February, they issued a report updated each year on world inequality. And here's one statistic that gives you an idea of where we are. If I remember, the 62, could have been 85, but I think it was 62 richest individuals in the world, most of whom are Americans. Not all, but most of whom are American. So this is an American problem more than it is in any other country. The 62 richest people, they have names on there, you know, Bill Gates, Warren Buffett, that kind of thing. They together, these 62 persons, together own more wealth than the bottom half of the population of this planet, roughly 3.5 billion people. I gotta stop. You have to try, I mean it's hard obviously, to get your head around what I just said. 62 people, mostly Americans, have more wealth than 3.5 billion people. Those 3.5, the poorest half of our population, those are the people who die early in their lifetimes, who have every disease there is, including most of those that we can cure, but they can't get to the doctor or the clinic or the medicine that can handle it. They're the people whose personal lives are a disaster. They suffer every injury. Unspeakable what happens to them. And their lives could be transformed if we inconvenienced 62 people. If we took from them half of what they have. Just think, the Walton family, half a dozen people, currently owning in the neighborhood of $80 billion, if they only owned 40 billion. And the other 40 were 40 billion made available to 3.5 billion people. Wow. What could be done? What transformations? Let me just ask you, if you are Christian, Jewish, Muslim, anything else, what morality on the earth could justify this? Come on. This isn't fancy analytic. This is the most basic grasp of what's reasonable. We live in a system that has produced this craziness. You'd have to go back to ancient Egypt and the pharaohs to get something on this order. We go back and we look, if you ever go to Egypt, and it's amazing, these incredible structures long before they had derricks and cranes and trucks and all the. They did that, and then you discover and you read up on it, they did that with millions of slaves. Can you imagine what their lives were? Short, for sure. We're back there. Our modern civilization has created 62 people with more wealth than 3.5 billion. Isn't this an issue for the campaign? Might not a presidential candidate in the country that has more of those 62 than anybody else have something to say about it? Nothing. No plan, no proposal, no analytic, nothing. It's like it's not there.
After the international charity Oxfam released a report on the growing gulf between the world's richest and poorest. It's titled, quote, An Economy for the 1%. And it concludes that the wealthiest 62 people on the planet own as much as the poorest half of the world's population combined. It also found that those 3.6 billion people have become 41% poorer since 2011.
Talking about today as Oxfam is a more structural problem that allows this kind of wealth inequality to exist. What we found in our report is that this sort of inequality is increasingly hardwired into our economies. It's the way that we run things now. We have vast income inequality, but that also cuts across huge gender inequalities. Political leaders, business leaders, billionaires themselves are waking up to the fact that this is not good news for anybody. It undermines our economies, it undermines our societies.
5 years ago, the combined wealth of the globe's top 388 billionaires was equal to half the world's population. If that contrast is shocking, consider how many billionaires it takes for that same divide today. 62. According to a new report from Oxfam on global inequality, it's now just 62 of the world's richest billionaires who own as much wealth as half the world's population. The wealth of the poorest half, that's 3.6 billion people, has fallen by $1 trillion since 2010. At the same time, the wealth of the world's richest 62 people has increased by more than $500 billion. Oxfam faults a global financial system that has, quote, supercharged the age-old ability of the rich and powerful to use their position to further concentrate their wealth.
The report singles out deregulation, privatization, offshore tax havens that have let trillions of dollars go untaxed. Oxfam says denying governments of this massive source of revenue has hampered efforts to provide basic social services and tackle inequality. A review of some 200 major companies shows 90% operate in at least one tax haven. The Oxfam report is timed to coincide with the meeting of the global elites at the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland. For more, we turn to Raymond Offenheiser, president of Oxfam America. So give us these figures. 62 of the world's wealthiest people have more wealth than half the world's population. 62 individuals.
That's correct, and as you noted, that this has been an accelerating pattern. I think what our report's trying to do is really point out the fact that I think we have a global inequality crisis, and we're trying to legitimize that narrative, and through the use of these kinds of numbers. I think what's been stunning to us is not only the fact that we have that level of concentration, but the process is accelerating. And I think what we're trying to understand is if we allow this process to accelerate, not only here in the United States, but literally in countries around the world and in regions where you're not expected, in the Chinas and the Indias and even in Africa, it raises a lot of questions about some of the things you talked about in your earlier broadcast about Michigan, which is how do we fund public services for the poor? How do we finance development into the future? How do we alleviate poverty if, in fact, we're seeing underfinancing of infrastructure and schools and health systems and so forth? So we're really trying to underline the fact that there is an inequality crisis, and we've got to really address directly this accelerating concentration of wealth and the mechanisms and systems really that enable it.
And Ray Offenheiser, can you explain specifically what the role of tax havens are in this quite staggering inequality that the report points to?
Well, tax havens basically is a mechanism that's been created by the financial industry and corporations to allow them to basically produce value in one location and then transfer that value that may have a high tax base or tax rate, and then transfer it in some fashion or another to another location with a much lower tax rate, and then pay the tax rate in those locations where it's much more favorable. And there's all sorts of accounting mechanisms that allow this to happen, and also legislation that provides loopholes that enable companies to move value overseas. So, for example, here in the United States, companies actually can deduct the costs of moving jobs overseas. In one case, they can actually move the value of brands and trademarks overseas. They can actually, they're exempt from, for example, taxing the value of subsidiaries overseas. So there's a variety of ways these tax havens, the tax rules enable the tax havens to work. The banking industry has been a major beneficiary of all this because this money is then put in bank accounts in these tax havens. So you've seen an explosion of banking, offshoring of the banking industry to the Cayman Islands and the British Virgin.
What's the Stop Tax Haven Abuse Act?
Well, this is an act that's been put forward in Congress by Carl Levin and Senator Whitehouse from Rhode Island, Carl Levin from Michigan, Whitehouse from Rhode Island, and Lloyd Doggett from Texas. And it's an act that now has 41 sponsors in the House, 3 in the Senate, that basically tries to close exactly the loopholes I just mentioned and a variety of other ones. It's, quite frankly, what it really does is it closes those loopholes and it tries to force through SEC regulation, greater levels of transparency, and try to get rid of this disconnect between where you generate value and where you report it. And what we really want to force the companies to do is say, if you produce value in the United States, and you produce value overseas, that should be fully transparent to citizens, so we actually can get a fair deal from on taxation of corporations. Because it's that diminished corporate taxation that's creating the situations we see in Flint and a variety of other locations around the United States and around the world.
Well, a large number of the billionaires listed in Forbes have inherited their wealth. Could you talk about the importance of estate tax?
Well, I think we believe that the whole issue of wealth of individuals is as important as corporate tax. We've been focusing on corporate tax in some sense because we see it as really a global issue. I think 47 of the 62 millionaires are actually Americans, so we have a really particular problem here at home. But what Oxfam is really focused on is what does this mean for developing countries where we're trying to address poverty issues? What does it mean in Africa? And what does it mean in some of these emerging economies where we see actually wealth and high rates of growth? What we're trying to focus on is if we allow the system to continue in the way it's continuing, those countries will lose critical value they need now to fund their own development. And the end game we seek is actually one in which countries are taking responsibility for their own development by building strong institutions and building a tax system that will fund their citizens' welfare.
What's the real price of tax dodging?
Well, it varies country to country. I think here in
Right here
in the United States, I think we estimate that if we close the loopholes through the Stop Tax Haven Abuse Act, we probably have 220 billion additional dollars that we can invest in the economy over about a 5 to 10 year period.
We're going to continue this conversation. Post online at democracynow.org. Raymond Offenheiser is president of the International Relief and Development Organization, Oxfam America. We'll link to the report it's just put out, An Economy for the 1%, how privilege and power in the economy drive extreme inequality and how this can be stopped.
Man of nobility, he said, up, the mountain race, one God, one aim, one destiny, Africa for Africa. Marcus can words come to pass. Marcus can words come to pass. Can't get no food to eat. Can't get no money to spend. Oh, can't get no food to eat. Can't get no money to spend.
Speak truth to the people. To identify the enemy is to free the mind. Free the mind of the people. Speak to the mind of the people. Speak truth.
Marcus can words come to pass. Marcus can.
Thanks so much for staying with us as we celebrate Jamaica's performance in the Olympics in Rio 2016 and congratulate our sisters on the ground in Rio and our brothers. Victory in Rio. Congratulations to all Jamaican athletes in Brazil, especially to those who qualified for the finals in their respective disciplines. Special congratulations, of course, to Elaine Thompson, winning the 100 meters in 10.71 seconds. Shelley Ann Fraser-Price, who medaled for third place despite that injury, 10.86 seconds. And we said earlier, congratulations to Fidel Castro, who's not in the Olympics, but in Cuba, celebrating 90 years.
The way class works in our society can best be understood if you think about how a business works. In most businesses, the people who do the work come 5 days a week, use their brains and muscles doing what the employer sets them as tasks with the equipment and materials the employer provides. At the end of the day, they go home, and the employer keeps the fruits of their labor, which the employer then sells. And the goal of the employer is to get more money when he sells the output than it cost him to buy the tools, equipment, raw material, and hire those workers. Class is this difference between those who do the work, the overwhelming majority, and those who gather the profit into their hands. The way our society splits up the output, leaves those who get the profits in the position of deciding and figuring out what to do with them. And we all live with the results of what a really tiny minority in our society decide to do with the profits everybody produces. The profits in our society are huge. When you think about 500 to 1,000 large corporations in the United States do the overwhelming bulk of the business, you realize that into the boards of directors of these companies flows a huge part of what you might call the discretionary income in this society. If these profit-earning companies decide they can make more profit by adopting a technology which has the unfortunate result of polluting the air or the water, corporations will typically do that because the profit is more important to them than the social consequences that basically they don't have to live with and they don't have to pay for. And so you'll get decisions about how to use the profit, which is a social disaster in terms of the health, mental and physical of other people. Having a small group driven by profit gathering into their hands the discretionary funds shapes everything about the way we live. Class is one of the most repressed discourses in this country. Many Americans insist that we're all in the middle class, that if there are a handful of desperately poor people at one end and maybe a handful of desperately rich ones at the other, they're really a tiny footnote to a vast middle. This is a way of pretending that class differences, wealth, power, corporate structure, somehow aren't there or don't matter. They pretend that the issue isn't there or it doesn't matter or we all have it under control, none of which are true. The overwhelming majority of people have to go to work 5 days a week who live from the income that their work provides. And a very small minority have enough wealth to live off the wealth. The richest 10 or 20% of our country, which owns half the wealth, that's why they're the richest. They get rent on their land, they get interest on their money, they get all of these rewards, whether or not they do an ounce of labor ever. Whereas the vast mass of people can only live by their labor. This is a fundamental inequality that infuses everything about our culture. The lip service as a nation we give to equality, to democracy, to equal opportunity are radically undone by the reality of the class structure. So class is going to force you into unpleasant recognitions and confrontations with a reality that has to be changed. Foreclosure in the United States today is in fact a perfect example. Over the last 30 years, we have faced a phenomenon we never had before in the history of the United States. We have had rising real wages in America, roughly from the beginning of our history up until the 1970s. If you worked hard, you got more money in your wage envelope at the end of the week. It was true for 150 years, and that's really amazing, and no other country did that. It stopped in the 1970s. Because of computers replacing people, because of American companies moving abroad where they could pay lower wages, because of a mass movement of women into the labor force, immigration, and we went from a country with a chronic labor shortage to a country with a chronic labor oversupply. Employers no longer had to raise wages to keep workers working, to keep them happy, to keep them employed. And as a result, the American working people went into a kind of prolonged psychic shock. Their wages weren't rising anymore. And so what they did was they turned to another source of money to realize the American dream that they had been culturally developed to hope for, to expect, to promise to their kids. They borrowed money like crazy. And the business community of the United States saw in the borrowing of the American working class a fantastic market to go after. You know, in the 1970s, at the beginning, the only people who had a credit card were wealthy people or folks on business expense accounts. Starting in the 1970s, we gave credit to the mass of Americans. Everybody gets a credit card, and everybody can go to the bank to borrow to buy a home. Mortgage debt, credit card debt explodes. It was a money-making extravaganza. We saw all the wealthy come together to get involved in this money. Building houses, lending workers at huge interest rates, the money with which to buy the new and expensively built homes. Wealthy people poured their money in to companies that built these homes, furnished these homes, decorated these homes, and you have a literal explosion of profitability. But of course, you can't keep lending to working people if their underlying economic situation isn't improving. So it was only a matter of time until the extra borrowing reached the limit of the underlying frozen stagnant wages. That was hit in 2007. Millions of Americans could no longer afford the houses that they had borrowed to buy. And the foreclosure crisis represents the rage and anger of the wealthy class. If the underlying people they lent money to can't pay for them, they're going to take those houses back, throw those people out of their homes, and try to find another way to make money. Here's a perfect example of the profit motive creating a housing boom that becomes a bust, and that now to recoup the money of the minority who invested in it requires millions of people, the majority, to literally lose their homes, producing in the United States in 2010 and 2011 a society that has millions of empty homes side by side with millions of homeless people. Enormous pressure was placed on the United States government by big businesses, the businesses that produce homes, that clear land, that produce construction equipment, the businesses that produce the furniture that goes into the home. All of those companies have put enormous pressure on the government for the last 100 years to subsidize, to stimulate everything having to do with the home construction business. They asked the government to subsidize mortgages, which we've been doing in America since the 1930s. They wanted the government to help individuals buy homes because their well-being as corporations depended on selling those homes, selling the furniture, selling the equipment that dug the ground for the homes, etc. So the whole corporate structure of the United States has been geared to making money by developing the private home business in the United States. They are the ones who have made the major difference in all of this. Every house virtually bought and sold in the United States over the last 25 years, with very few exceptions, was paid for with a mortgage loan. That is, the buyer of the home goes to typically a bank and borrows the money with which to buy the house, and then has to make a long-term repayment to the bank for having borrowed that money. As a loan, it has two sides, the borrower and the lender. In our kind of capitalist economy, it is the rule that a banker has the social responsibility of properly assessing risk. If billions upon billions of dollars were lent to people who couldn't pay it back, then the culpability is at least as much on the side of the bankers who made those loans as it is on the borrowers who took them out. Borrowing vast amounts of money to buy homes took off in the 1970s and 80s and 90s. It had not happened before. So if you're going to blame the victim, you have to explain why the victim undertook these blameworthy activities just then and not, for example, in the previous 150 years. And now the most important point, which I made earlier. Starting in the 1970s, the American working class stopped getting real wage increases. So we have a desperate working class that undertook that borrowing because they had to. Because even though they became more and more productive for their employers did not raise their wages for the last 30 years. That's why they borrowed money, and that's why they borrowed too much money. And had the employers not taken advantage of the market to stop raising wages, had they simply continued to raise wages as American employers had been doing for the 150 years before the 1970s, there would not have been this explosion of borrowing, and there would not be the foreclosure prices now. So the blame for all of this is really not to be found with the individual borrower, or for that matter, even with the individual banker. We have a system that worked in such a way as to drive the masses of people to borrow what they shouldn't and to drive the corporate sector to invest and lend in ways they shouldn't. The fault is in a system that makes people behave in ways they all come to regret. Capitalism here worked better than it did in other countries for a long time, and it accumulated a lot of wealth. Over the last 30 years, it hasn't raised the wages the way it had for 150 years before. The confrontation with the inability of capitalism to deliver the goods was postponed by having Americans work way more hours than other people in other countries, and by having American workers take on a level of debt no working class ever anywhere had ever seen before. But we've now run out. We can't do more physical hours of work, and we can't borrow any more money because we're unable to pay what we've already borrowed. And we're now going to have to face it. And I think what we're going to see is an American working class that is now going to rediscover class and realize that they have to question a system that works this way. They're going to demand fundamental changes, and when they do, and as they do, they will rediscover the language of class, relearn it from the working people in other countries who never forgot it, and it'll re-enter the discourse and debates of American society, and probably with a vengeance.
As we go to the phone lines, where our brother David Mohammed is in Trinidad, the Trinidad and Eastern Caribbean representative of the Honorable Louis Farrakhan and the Nation of Islam. He's a Black Agenda Project Director. You remember David Mohammed. He's the author of the book Black Studies. He's going to be one of our special guests here at our tribute to Morley Marcus Mosiah Garvey. Under the theme, Breaking the Cycle of Mental Control. Once again, we remind you of the themes. Professor James Small. His lecture is on African spirituality, a tool for liberation, seeing God in our own image. Dr. Umar Johnson, Education for Liberation, Breaking the Cycle of Mental Control. And of course, our brother Hashim Nzinga, speaking on Black Power. Of course, a theme for Hashim. Black Power, the call for cultural, political and economic self-determination. And our brother David Mohammed joining us live from Trinidad right now. David, good morning.
Good morning, Sister Kabu, and good morning to all of your wonderful listeners across Jamaica and in the diaspora also.
Greetings, my brother. We're looking forward to seeing you when you come in. Are you here? Are you going to come in for the 17th also?
Unfortunately, no. That was the original plan.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll actually be coming in on the Saturday morning because I'll be attending the Tusile Overture screening, and then, of course, our main event here.
All right. Okay, so we look forward to seeing you when you come in for the 21st here at IRI FM. You're no stranger to IRI FM, no stranger to the Africa Forum, of course, and obviously no stranger to Jamaica. You launched your book here. You launched your book here recently. But just give our listeners, remind our listeners a little bit about what you do, because you are the representative of Minister Farrakhan in this region. Tell us about that.
Yes, well, of course, I had my Jamaica book launch last year in November, and well, from that time to now, a whole lot has happened as far as the book is concerned, and also the spreading of the consciousness. Black Studies, 433 pages, 10 chapters, but over 370 references from all of the greatest black leaders, scholars, teachers, philosophers, historians, contemporary spokespersons, and it has attempted to pull together the various strands of ideological and philosophical black thought from Pan-Africanism, C.L.R. James, Henry Sylvester Williams, George Padmore, to black nationalism, the teachings of the Honorable Marcus Garvey, Martin Delany, the philosophy of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, Malcolm X, and Minister Louis Farrakhan, to the civil rights, equal rights, human rights movement led by Dr. Martin Luther King, Medgar Evers, the NAACP, W.E.B. Du Bois, then the black revolutionary consciousness of Kwame Ture and the Black Panthers and Angela Davis. And then there's the philosophy of His Imperial Majesty Emperor of Ethiopia, Haile Selassie, and the reggae music movement, which has used culture as a vehicle to transmit a powerful ideology of Afrocentricity. And so this is basically the foundation of Chapter 1, which offers a springboard to studies into, say, the 7 different forms of racism, black economics, black politics, black psychology, black sociology, also African history. There's a separate chapter on enslavement or the African Holocaust. And also a major component is Caribbean studies. But Caribbean studies from the perspective of embellishing the African contribution in the development of a newly independent region, where the Caribbean as a region has in many ways set the example for Black America and the rest of the African diaspora in what we have been able to achieve in terms of political independence and the continued struggle of economic empowerment, because of course throughout the Caribbean, in most places where there are black faces in political office, you have non-African ethnic groups who are largely in control of the economies, and also persistent patterns of underdevelopment and exploitation that continue to plague African people that appear to be invisible to us. So that's a very important dimension of the entire teaching curriculum with black studies. Yes.
And you're just giving us, I'm just listening to you and I'm thinking what a powerful speaker you are, and we can just imagine when you come in talking about breaking the cycle of mental control and focusing on black liberation ideology, as you have been outlining just now. In terms of a liberation ideology, give our listeners an idea of where you see yourself going in terms of your presentation on Sunday. You sound to me as if you're traveling. I don't know if you're traveling, but I know you can do both. Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
Right. Well, on Sunday, we hope to touch a number of points from the perspective of using as a foundation the teachings of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan in his 21-part course entitled Self-Improvement, the Basis for Community Development, which addresses the Willie Lynch syndrome, which contains a number of factors, but also reversing the Willie Lynch syndrome as taught by Alvin Morrow and Dr. Joyce Leary in the post-traumatic slave syndrome. In addition to this, of course, it was Bobby Wright who came up with a concept of African people being mentally colonized. Then our dear sister, Dr. Frances Cress-Welsing, who we lost in January, coining the term menticide, merging the two concepts of mental genocide, and that African people have been placed in a self-perpetuating condition of self-hatred through the injection of poisonous and toxic teaching points within the educational curriculum that were specifically designed to cripple our ambition to rescue ourselves out of a subordinate lower class on the social strata. At one time, as we know, it was necessary for them to place chains on our hands and feet during chattel slavery because we still had some kind of concept of freedom as a goal to be attained. But now it is as if the chains have been removed from our hands and feet and placed on our minds, and we are under a remote control that we ourselves, through institutionalized racism, contribute towards keeping ourselves trapped in. And within this day and time, I see it as absolutely necessary for all of us as conscious African people in the diaspora to create a new kind of Pan-Africanist community worldwide, in particular in the diaspora, and by extension in particular in the Caribbean, whereby we can connect all of the different ideologies and philosophies to come up with one position paper that will be constructive to all of us. Because in the past, they have used one brand of consciousness as a weapon against another brand of consciousness. And our enemies have always handpicked our friends for us. And those friends that they have chosen have been the ones who have fit within an agenda or a narrative of black inferiority. Now, we have come out of the 1940s, 50s, and 60s, where there was a much more blatant and overt assault on black consciousness. But now, we are being induced to voluntarily withdraw ourselves from the struggle by capitalist inducements or rewards that we think or that we place greater value on, and we take that in exchange for continuing to struggle to establish consciousness.
I was actually going to go there. My brother, I want to thank you. I want to leave it there because I really know that you're going to come in and make your presentation on Sunday, and I don't want you to do that from the car. So as much as we are riveted by it, but let's leave it for now, and then and ancestral guidance on your way in. We'll see you when you're coming. We're looking so forward to hearing you speak here at the tribute. To Marley.
But let me also say very quickly as I close, if I may, when I was 8 years old, my uncle, who lived in Jamaica for about 10 years, he told me, on my birthday, I think it was either my 8th or 9th birthday, he said, David, you share the birthday of a great man from Jamaica named Marcus Garvey.
Oh, you do?
And I said, yeah, of course.
Well, there you go. Yes.
And he gave me a coin. He gave me a coin with the face of Marcus Garvey on it. And, I mean, years later, of course, I, just like Minister with Farrakhan, I fell in love with the mind of the Honorable Marcus Garvey. And so I will be celebrating with you in spirit on Wednesday, August 17th.
And even more so on the 21st.
More so on the 21st. But, even though I won't be in Jamaica on the 17th, I always honor Marcus Garvey on my own birthday. And I'd also like to send out special peace, love, and blessings to our dear brother over there, Brother Clive Muhammad, who continues to share this great philosophy as well.
Of course.
And I'll be a guest at their place in Portmore as well.
Okay. All right. Well, we're expecting to see Brother Clive Muhammad and the team and the group here on Sunday. Brother Clive Muhammad, we're expecting to see you. All right. Thank you so much, my brother. Thank you so much. See you on Sunday.
Thank you so much, Sister Camilla. Right. And please continue doing the magnificent job that you're doing on the radio airwaves of promoting and spreading consciousness among our people.
Will do. And thank you, my brother, and yourself. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
The McKinsey Global Institute recently released a report which showed that 81% of Americans are worse off now than they were 10 years ago. That sounds like a startling figure, and yet I bet a lot of Americans are not startled at all because they very much feel the truth behind that finding. The researchers had a team of about 40 people working on this report entitled Poorer Than Their Parents: Flat or Falling Incomes in Advanced Economies. It studied the years between 2005 and 2014 and found that incomes in advanced economies, including the U.S., were either flat or fell for about 65 to 70% of people across the board, or for more than 540 million people around the world. And the U.S. saw the even sadder figure of 81% of its households seeing flat or falling income. Richard Dobbs is a senior partner at McKinsey, and he told Bloomberg News that what people were most upset about is not that others got rich. It's not about people wanting to be one percenters. It's just about people seeing that they are earning less money now than they were 10 years ago, while their rents get jacked up and the price of everything has gone up. But the worst part is that, Dobbs says, not only are we starting to be poorer than our parents, we are also on track to be richer than our children. Which means if we carry on our current trajectory, 80% of our children will be much worse off than their grandparents. The exact opposite of what's supposed to be the American dream. Dobbs has an explanation of why this is happening. He says our growth has slowed down, and then also, more of the growth is going to fewer of the people. The top 1% are hoovering up all the growth, squeezing 80% of us into having less money than we did a decade ago. He also says that a lot of people's jobs are being displaced in this new global technological age, and that those people aren't being trained to do anything new. The bottom line he gives is that we just aren't doing enough to make sure that people get their fair share, which is a pretty nice way to put the fact that our 1% is squeezing the country poor. No matter how you put it, we're worse off now than we were years ago, and it's only getting worse. No matter how you put it, it's time to wake up from the American dream. Tonight, let's talk about that.
Black folks, oh, they down. Oh, Martin is one of those Negroes too. So they'll act down once they get around black folks. See, that's the trick, see? See, once they get around black folks, oh, they down. Oh, yeah, brother, black power, brother. Yeah, man, we're going to have to challenge the system. Yeah, brother. Oh, we got to challenge that system. Man, we got to deal with this. Man, we're going to have to call these people to task. They're really, really down when they're around other black people. But the minute they get around some white folks, oh, Miss Hillary. Oh, so good to see you, Miss Hillary. I love you, Miss Hillary. Welcome to TV1. Oh, Lord. I dance with NASA. 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 Oh, let's cut a jig for you, massa. I just love you. Ray! Oh, Lord. And that's just how that nigga acts when he gets around Hillary Clinton or any other white people. So Roland Martin is one of those Negroes too. So they'll act down once they get around black folks. See, that's the trick.
All right. Hold on. Roland Martin wants to speak. Wait, Roland wants to speak with you real quick. Hold on one second. Hold on. Wait.
See, once they get around black folks, oh, they down. Oh, yeah, brother, black power, brother. Yeah, man, we're going to have to challenge the system. Yeah, brother. Oh, we got to challenge that system. Man, we got to deal with this. Man, we're going to have to call these people to task. They're really down when they're around other black people. But the minute they get around some white folks, oh, Miss Hillary. Oh, so good to see you, Miss Hillary.